Good afternoon, and thank you for being so patient. It's the end of the first session, and what I'm going to speak about will be very related to what most speakers spoke about until now. A few words about myself. So, despite my strange name, I'm Israeli. I grew up in Israel. And after studying economics and doing my MBA at INSEAD, I spent the first half of my career as a CEO and general manager in several industries and companies in Israel and Europe. And about 6 years ago, I met in a career-changing meeting the next speaker, Sir Ronald Cohen, and being exposed to his vision and to the legacy of Bridges Fund Management in the UK, I decided to dedicate the second half of my career to impact investing and joined my partners Gal Chayut and Ran Grodecki, and we established Bridges Israel, which is, I think today, the largest impact investor in Israel. Impact investments, as you already figured out from the last few speakers, is not a new concept. In fact, value-based investments are something that really helped the Zionist state from its early beginning. Herzl said, the settlers in Israel do not need charity, they need credit. Because he realized that while philanthropy is crucial and important, it is not sufficient, and business is a different force and can generate impact at a much larger scale. And that helped him create the first bank that, on one hand, had to operate like any other bank, and he was very adamant on looking at investments with a very pure financial eye, but the higher purpose of the bank was to solve a challenge, and a social and economic challenge, which is to help the settlers in Israel create a Jewish state. So the bank conducted transactions in support of Zionist enterprises like land purchase, imports, and obtaining concessions and so on and so forth. Another very famous impact investment is the Carmel Winery of the Baron Edmund de Rothschild. When the settlers of the first Aliyah, Jews who came to Palestine from Eastern Europe in the second half of the 19th century, they encountered great difficulties in cultivating the land due to their lack of experience and the soil characteristics. And they began to seek support outside of Palestine for establishing vineyards and wineries. Their representative they visited France, and they met Baron Edmond de Rothschild, who was the owner of Chateau Lafite, the famous winery in France. But as a Zionist, Rothschild decided to provide financial and moral assistance to the settler, and his first wineries were planted near Rishon LeZion. Now, obviously, the objective was not philanthropy. It was to create a business, a sustainable business that will make money. But the second, or the parallel objective, was to support fair employment and to help economic activity in the young Jewish state. Now, both Rothschild and the Jewish Colonial Trust, which was the Zionist bank, are still very active impact investors today, but their goals have changed. So in the past, we were facing the challenges of building a Jewish nation in Israel. Today, our challenges have changed, and we face two mega challenges that are relevant both on a local level in Israel and on a global level around the world. The first is what we call the planet crisis, and the second is the escalating social inequalities. Those two mega challenges cannot be solved by government grants and philanthropy alone. Business, through innovation, is the only force that can generate environmental and social change at scale. So the impact investor of today, or the impact companies of today, are the companies of the future. Those are the companies people will want to work for. Those are the companies people will want to buy from. Those are the companies people will want to invest in the next decade and beyond. So let's look at two examples, case studies. One is trying to solve social inequalities. It's on a local level, and it's a private equity investment. Those of you who know the Israeli situation today know that the Bedouin women are the most underserved population in Israel. They face tremendous challenges in finding jobs. They have issues with language, with speaking Hebrew. They do not have the right education to go into lucrative jobs. They cannot travel far from home. They can many times not work with men in their work environment. So they have they have many obstacles. And as a result, 80% of those women who want to work are unemployed. So we are talking about a Bedouin entrepreneur, Ibrahim Nassasra, who himself has a fascinating life story, and he decided to create a company that will employ those women in something they know how to do best, which is to cook, and they can work close to their homes, they can work in an environment which is mainly feminine, and respecting all their religious and cultural barriers or needs, he was able to build a company, a very profitable company, that is cooking school meals or lunches, warm lunches, to many children around Israel. When we invested, they had about 15,000 meals a day produced in their factory in Rahat, the biggest Bedouin city in Israel. If we are looking at them today, they are providing 35,000 meals a day. They're growing every month. 53% of the management positions in the company are occupied by women, and 83% of those women report a significant positive change in their life. Now, referring to what Ernst was saying earlier, the connection between the commercial success and the impact is something we measure very closely. We call it the lockstep. And you see that the meals per day, which is directly resulting in revenues, is also directly reflected in the number of women employed. So there is a very clear correlation between fair employment of Bedouin women and the commercial success of the company. My last example, because I'm very aware of the time, is a global example. We are talking about the planet crisis, and we are talking about water scarcity, which is driven by rapid population growth, corresponding growth in demand for agriculture output, and the climate change. And if you know that 85% of irrigated land today is irrigated by flood, which is a very ancient method, but still employed in the most developed countries, Australia, the US, and you know that drip irrigation can solve the issue, but traditional drip irrigation is very expensive. So this company, NDRIP, founded by Professor Uri Shani, was able to create a drip irrigation that is gravity-based. and helping farmers of commodity crops, mega farms around the world, generate the same amount of water saving, the same amount of yield improvement without using any energy or filterization or pumps. And again, look at the lockstep between the water saved, which is the direct impact measurement of the company, and the installed fields that are directly correlated with the revenue growth of the company. So 2 examples, one venture, the other private equity, one global, one local. Those are the impact investments of today, and they are an evolution from the impact investments that helped create Israel. Thank you very much.